for your games. Oh yeah. Right, today, what are we looking at here? Gears of War, the card game. Shout out my boy Yogi. Loves that Gears of War. Let's read the back. 2 players, 14 plus, duration 30 to 60 minutes. Made by SFG. Steam Forge Games. The fate of Sarah in the palm of your hand. The world teeters on the brink of annihilation with subterranean hordes sowing devastation and death. The few humans left to fight against overwhelming odds. Experience the visceral action of the video game in this official 2-player card game, bolstering your forces with powerful units like Marcus Phoenix and High General Ram. The decisions you make change the way you play each campaign. In a game, you can reload time and time again. Pick a side, build a powerful deck, and win the war. Whether you're a hardened vet or a grass-green rookie, get ready for the fight of your life. Inside the box, 265 cards, 15 scenarios, 1 rule book. This is not a toy, not intended for children 13 years of age or younger. All right, it's real. That's telling you it's really real. Let's get it. The Steam Forge games also make the video game. I mean, it has gears in the title. I don't know. All right, what do we have in here? 3 stacks. This is a campaign. So if it has a secret under here, I'm gonna spoil the secret. No secret under here. Nope, no secret. Maybe for the expansion. Starting with the rulebook. Alright. Sarah teeters on the brink of utter annihilation. Subterranean hordes. I think we read this. And maybe not. Subterranean hordes have devastated cities and consumed entire nations. In the 15 years since Emergence Day, when the vicious locusts revealed themselves, humanity's war has been a losing one. What's left of mankind fights for survival against overwhelming odds. Fighting to preserve the remnants of humanity are the coalition of ordered governments, COG. Represented by formidable gear soldiers, the COG are the thin but heavily armored line standing against the relentless assault of the locust. Possessing the best military technology science can produce, the COG and their elite troops are humanity's last hope. Who or what are the locusts? None are truly sure. Led by a savage High General Ram, the locusts rampage across the surface of Sarah, spreading like a pestilence. They slaughter and consume anything unfortunate enough to cross their paths. And accompanied into battle by horrifying living tanks, the locusts seem unstoppable. The war, after all, is desperate, deadly, and with no possibility for quarter. But there is cover. For both COG and locust, cover is what keeps you alive, or at least might for a little bit longer. Get down, stay down, or wait for the chance to strike back. Whether you're COG or locust, seizing cover at the right time is how you survive. Push back at the enemy and eventually win. Ready? Doesn't matter. The war is about to start either way. Take cover or die. The credits, yeah. Gears of War is all about covering behind terrain or whatever, just objects, and then throwing a grenade or popping shots, something like that. All right, playing your first game. All right, I like that. The COG player's first turn, combat phase, reaction cards, attack and defense, and attacking the hunter, directly attacking and blocking, attacking the enemy player, suppressed. Second deployment phase, the locust player's first turn, winning the game, the campaign. Page 26. Yeah, big in-depth book. Chapter 1, Prelude. Chapter 2, Trial by Fire. Chapter 3, Fish in a Barrel. Chapter 4, China Shop. Reinforcements. Chapter 5, Lethal Dusk. Chapter 6, Grist. Chapter 7, Burnt Rubber. Reinforcements. Chapter 8, Darkest Before Dawn. Reinforcements. Chapter 9, Evolution. Chapter 10, Angry Titan. Reinforcements. Chapter 11, Campus Grinder. Chapter 12, Entrenched. Chapter 13, Bad to Worse. Chapter 14, Jurassic Proportions. Chapter 15, Pale Horse. 45, That You Behold, I'm sure. 45, Alternate Format and Index and Icon Index. Alright, so realistically, we're not gonna get right to the campaign, so, but still, that's still like 26 pages. But we're skimming though. And hopefully, me and Daniel can take this maybe week by week or something. Playing your first game, setting up. Take the following tutorial cards from the box labeled Chapter Core at the bottom. Take the following tutorial cards from the box labeled Chapter Core at the bottom. 1 low wall, 2 low wall, 3 high wall, 4 sergeant, fresh recruit. Separate any cards with the cover, cog, or locust back into 3 decks. Choose which player will play as the cog and which player will play as the locust, and give each player the corresponding deck. Yeah, let's try to find those. Take the following tutorial cards from the box labeled Chapter Core at the bottom. Okay, see Chapter 7, Chapter 10, Chapter 1. I'm taking it. It'll be in this deck. It's even got Microsoft Corporation on the bottom, so I am kind of leaning towards FSFG is who really made the whole Gears of War game, or who owns the IP. Okay, what did it say? Chapter Core. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 12, Chapter 8, 15, 9, 8, 11, 2, Chapter Core at the back, as I suspected. Alright, Chapter Core cards, there's supposed to be 39 of them. This doesn't look like 39, but 1, 2, 3, only 3 right there. Alright, 3, they're just interspersed, I guess. Whoa, that is messed up. That's like really messed up plastic. How in the crap did that happen? I guess the UV coating got all jacked up. Anyway, chapter reinforcement. I think reinforcement sounds like something probably that you'll get between campaigns, like upgrades. That sounds very cool. Trying to figure out, do I need to do this on the camera? Yeah, you know what? Matter of fact, let me look at these and be right back. And I'm back. The vast majority of them seem to be clumped up into the second pack, but let's see if that's the whole 39 we're looking for though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Son of a gun, we still have 10 to go. But we'll just keep looking. Still need 10 more. A lot of chapter reinforcement. Alright, looks like we got a pack. Crack 3 stacks. I don't know why they packed them like this, but I guess it makes sense. Yeah, like, and this seems like a competitive campaign TCG. Sounds like something new to me. I've heard of co-op and solo, but not so much campaign, I don't think. I mean, competitive. All right, chapter core. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to the 10. Oh, and there's even more for some reason. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 26. All right, so then we're gonna have to compile all these chapter codes. I guess these are, I don't know how they did this. But long as everything's where it's supposed to be, that's all that matters. All right, so we're looking for lone wall, 3 lone walls. Yeah, let me compile all this and be right back. All right, I'm almost done. Yeah, scoot this up a little bit. Yeah, a lot of them are just in order. So we're on heroism number 27, and then hit the floor. Cyclops. So it looks like 2 factions for the most part. Cyclops, drone, Boomer, Rich Pack, Hunter, Grenadier, another Grenadier, Reaver Drop, Ink Grenade, Blood Rush, and Frenzy. Alright, so out of the chapter cores that I saw, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About probably 16 won't be used in the initial playing your first game setup. Yeah, I mean, good thing they were clumped together in like 3 clumps, I would say, between the 3 Mylar packs or whatever. All right, so what to do now? Okay, it says separate any cards with the cover cog or locust back into with the cover cog or locust back into 3 decks. All right, that's the first step. After getting everything together, right there. Okay, cover cog and locust. Then these look to be what the battlefields, the low wall and high wall. All right, place the 3 cover cards between the players in the middle of the playing area as shown here. Yep, bases. Make sure there aren't any units in play at the start of the game. However, because the tutorial represents a battle that's already raging, we're going to place some cards straight onto the battlefield. Locust deck, cog player, locust player. Yeah, put that right there. Put these stacks off to the side. Should just put these back in the box, but whatever. All right, that's crap. Take the first 2 cog cards, fresh recruit and sergeant. Oh man, they gotta be in order. Are you serious? Fresh recruit and sergeant. Okay. Hey, that works like a champ. All right, fresh recruit and sergeant. A fresh recruiting sergeant and the first 2 locust cards, drone and hunter. Drone, hunter. All right, how do we proxy this thing? All right, low walls are where and where the high walls? Okay, low wall, high wall. All right, take the first 2 card cards, fresh recruit and sergeant, in the first 2 locust cards and place them onto the battlefield as shown. The remaining cards make up each player's deck. All right, so cog in cover under the high wall. Okay, that's where we got them. No, sergeant, not first recruit. All right, sergeant right there. Hunter right here. And then locust reserve, we have the drone. And then cog reserve, we have the fresh recruit. All right, now that the battlefield has been set up, let's jump straight into the action. In Gears of War, the card game, players take alternating turns in which they draw, discard, or play cards and attack until one player has defeated the other. Sometimes a game will include additional ways to win, but usually a player wins by forcing their opponent's deck to run out of cards. Let's talk through the first few turns and teach you the basic rules. The turn order. A player's turn is made up of 3 phases in this order. 1. First deployment phase. 2. Combat phase. 3. Second deployment phase. First deployment phase. In each of their deployment phases, the player must take one of the following actions. Draw, discard, or deploy. Draw. The player takes the top card of their deck and moves it into their hand. Discard. The player chooses a card in their hand and moves it face up to the top of their discard pile. Deploy. In Gears of War the card game, playing a card from your hand is called deploying. Deployed cards are moved from the player's hand into their reserve, where they should be placed face up. Bench in Pokemon. Deployment values 4, 5, 6. Each card has 1 or more numbers in their upper left corner, which are its deployment values. A player may only deploy a card if the number of cards in their hand, including the card being deployed, equals one of these deployment values. That sounds like a cool mechanic. I haven't heard of that before. They could have straight up swiped this from a other game, but I have never heard of it though. Alright, some cards will have any icon instead. A card with the deployment value of any may be deployed regardless of the number of cards in the player's hand. That right there has me very excited. I'm not gonna hold you. That got me very excited. Alright, there are 2 types of cards a player may deploy in deployment. Units and tactics. Units got the skull on them. Tactics have the crosshairs. Player can't deploy a reaction card in the deployment phase. Players can't deploy a reaction card in the deployment phase. Yeah, let's go ahead and highlight that. Cannot deploy reaction in deployment phase. Alright, deployment values, highlight that up. A player may only deploy a card if the number of cards in their hand, including the card being deployed, equals one of these deployment values. Man, I wonder if they took this from another game, but it sounds hella original to me. I'm loving that. Alright, some cards will have yeah, we read that. Alright, so I'll just write on here too while I'm at it. Deploy into the reserve equals Pokemon bench. Alright, the COG player's first turn, deployment phase. Deploying the private. In this tutorial, the COG player will take the first turn. Let's begin with the first deployment phase and deploy a card. Because the COG player has 5 cards in their hand, they may deploy the private since one of its deployment values is 5. The captain and scout can't be deployed now because neither card has a deployment value of 5. The COG player takes the private from their hand and moves it to the battlefield face up beside the fresh recruit in their reserve. Cards will always refer to their own player's reserve unless otherwise stated. Alright, the COG player has 5 cards in hand. Let's grab those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, who did he say? The private. Okay, deploy the private. 4, 5, 6, 1, and 7. That is cool. 1 and 7. You can only drop the captain if you have 1 or 7 cards in your hand, including the captain, if you have that many cards in hand. 1, 3, 6. The only guy with a 5 or in any is the heroism, and that's a tactic. That's not a tactic. Tactics have the crosshairs. Units have the skull, and this is a friendly unit gains. This might be an instant or something, but anyway, 4, 5, 6. Deploy the private since I got 5 cards in hand. Private is coming on the Pokemon bench, the reserve next to the fresh recruit. And then this is my hand. Put that down there. Okay, Locust player, COG private card. Private is out there. Does it probably the order doesn't matter left to right, but we'll just do the way they say. Alright, combat phase. In either In their combat phase, each of the player's units in the reserve or cover may perform one of the following combat actions, resolving them one at a time in an order of the player's choosing. Move in the cover, or attack in the cover, directly attack the enemy player. Okay, I'm gonna just start from the beginning. In the combat phase, each of the player's units in the reserve or cover may perform one of the following combat actions, resolving them one at a time. Okay, reserve or cover. And then again, this is cover. Yeah, this is cover. Reserve or cover may perform one of the, okay, in the combat phase, each unit. So we'll just highlight up each of the player's units. Go ahead and emphasize each. Combat phase, each. In the reserve or cover, may perform one of the following combat actions, resolving them one at a time in order of the player's choosing. One at a time. All right, move into cover. So moving to the walls, attack into cover, directly attack the enemy player. All right, move into cover. A unit in reserve may move into cover. Okay, that's moving straight to the wall, like that. Moving to the active Pokemon spot. Cover that has a card adjacent to it on either side is occupied. Cover that has a card adjacent to it on either side is occupied. Okay. Card adjacent to it either side is occupied. Cover that does not have any card is unoccupied. Place the unit card adjacent to the unoccupied cover card. Okay, you can only go to unoccupied, is what it sounds like. Place a unit card adjacent to any unoccupied. Sounds like they could have just said you can only move into cover unoccupied. Can only move to unoccupied cover. What it sounds like to me. All right, the private moves into cover. So first action, private moves into cover. One of those. Oh no, it's unoccupied. So I guess it has to go to the low wall. Is that the facts? Private going to the low wall. I kind of have them backwards from what the book says, but yeah, private moves over here, just like the game, running up to the wall and then ducking. All right, private moves into the low wall. Two of the cover cards are already occupied by the hunter. And the sergeant. So take the private and move it to the unoccupied cover. As shown opposite, the low wall card is now occupied by the private. All right, attacking the cover. A unit in reserve may attack an enemy unit that's occupying a cover card. Okay, so you can attack from the bench. Okay, attack into cover. A unit in reserve may attack an enemy unit that's occupying a cover card. The player chooses a unit, then declares which cover card they're attacking. When a unit card is occupying a cover card, it can't be moved away unless a rule specifically states to do so or is killed. All right, it said the options are move in the cover, or attack in the cover, or directly attack the enemy player. Cool. All right, reaction cards. Reaction cards are a special type of card that can only be deployed after an attack is declared. Okay, yeah, reaction heroism. Reaction cards are a special type of card, can be only deployed after an attack. is declared. The player being attacked always decides if they will deploy a reaction card first. Defender reacts first. Okay. Followed by the attacking player. Reaction cards follow the same deployment value rules as unit and tactic cards. Each player may only deploy a single reaction card during attack. If the player being attacked can't or chooses not to deploy a reaction card, the attacking player may still deploy a reaction card. Nice. Yeah, write that down. Can still react. Can still react as attacker if defender doesn't react. All right. Attack and defense. Each unit card has an attack and defense value as shown here. When an attack is made, first add any bonuses from other cards, then compare the values as detailed below. If an attack, both units deal damage to the other card equal to the attack value. If a unit suffers the amount of damage equal to greater than their defense value, the unit is killed and is moved face up into the discard pile. Reaction card effects only apply to the attack the reaction was deployed into. Once the attack has been resolved, any reaction cards are moved face up into the player's discard piles. If the attacking unit kills the unit occupying the cover card, it's moved adjacent to the cover card after the enemy unit is removed. All right, we're going to have to read that again. If the attacking unit kills the unit occupying the cover card, it is moved adjacent to the cover card after the enemy unit is removed. Yeah, I would have liked that they didn't say just it. I would have liked that they specified what it is. If the attacking unit kills the unit occupying the cover card, it is moved adjacent to the cover card after the enemy unit is removed, unless it was also killed. If the attacking unit fails to kill the enemy unit remains occupying the cover card and the attacking unit returns to the player's reserve unless it was killed during the attack. Alright, third time. Hopefully that's the charm. If the attacking unit kills the unit occupying the cover card, it is moved adjacent. So the attacking unit, I'm going to just move that it and go the attacking unit. Attacking unit. If the attacking unit kills the unit occupying the cover card, the attacking unit is moved adjacent to the cover card after the enemy unit is removed, unless it was also killed. If the attacking unit fails to kill the enemy unit remains occupying the cover card and the attacking unit returns to the player's reserve unless it was also killed during the attack. Alright, and that's in response to like a reserve attack, or I don't know. We'll see later. Alright, attacking the hunter. Okay, well, I mean, he said just attack and defense. It didn't say exactly what type of attack. But alright, keeping going. Alright, attacking the hunter. Now we're going to attack into occupied cover and resolve an attack. Yeah, that didn't really show like a scenario that that's in response to. Alright, but anyway, attacking the hunter. Now we're going, I mean, before I forget, let me tag this thing up right here. When a unit card is occupying a cover card, it can't be moved away unless the card specifies attacking the cover. A unit in reserve may attack an enemy unit that's occupying a cover card. The player chooses a unit, then declares which cover card they're attacking. Maybe they're talking about I believe that they're talking about a reserve attack when they're talking about this. I think so. All right, attacking the hunter. Now well, man, let me see. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, Just keeping on going to the attacking the hunter. Now we're going to attack into occupied cover and resolve an attack. Use the fresh recruit to attack the cover card occupied by the hunter. Okay, use the fresh recruit. Fresh recruit is on reserve, and then it's going to be attacking the hunter. Well, I guess attacking the wall. So we'll attack the wall occupied by the hunter. Players should always check their card for any special rules before resolving an attack. In this case, however, the fresh recruit doesn't have any special rules, and the hunter special rule does not affect attacking. All right, fresh recruit. Okay, to attack, to defense. Sarge, hey Sarge, what's it mean when the gun makes this click noise? All right, so yeah, that's flavor text. I mean, really, like if you ask me, flavor should be at the bottom of a card, but whatever. And then we got the hunter. The hunter is a 3/3. Yeah, I was really wondering what these numbers meant, but that's the deployment cost. How many cards in your hand? That seems so original. They could have just bit it from another game, but as far as I know, that's very original. Deploy, you may choose any enemy unit in cover and move it to reserve. The chosen unit is suppressed, probably tapped. Okay, so during deployment, when this ETBs, when it's deployed into the reserve, then you may choose any enemy unit in cover and move it to reserve. Nice. Yeah, this seems very interesting. Players should always check their card for any special rules, but they don't have anything that pops off right now. Since the cog player is attacking, the locust player has to decide first whether or not they want to play a reaction card from their hand. The locust player has the blood rush reaction card. Let's draw their 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bloodlust. Bloodlust, that's another any cards in hand, so 5 cards in hand at the time, but looks like they're going to be playing Blood Rush. Okay, since the cog player is attacking, Blood Rush reaction card in their hand, but let's save that for later and choose not to deploy a reaction card at this time. Okay. Now the cog player may deploy a reaction card, deploy the heroism card, placing it next to the fresh recruit so both players may see it. Grab that heroism. And a friendly unit gains +2/+2. You may draw a card. All right. Friendly unit. Is it going to be the fresh recruit? I think they're saying they're giving it to the fresh recruit naturally since the fresh recruit is attacking. And then fresh recruit now becomes a 4/4. And then draw a card. We got another any reaction card after attacks, and that's hit the floor. Reduce the damage dealt to all friendly units in this combat by 0. Put that back in hand. Alright, now the cog player may deploy a reaction card, deploy the heroism card, placing it next to the first recruit so all players may see. So yeah, now this guy's a 4/4, and you may draw a card. Heroism adds 2 to the first recruit's attack value, which means the first recruit is now a 4/4. The second effect of heroism card allows the cog player to draw a card, but let's choose not to this time. Okay, staying corrected. Put that back on top. It says you may. Okay, the hunter card is moved face up to the locust players. Oh, you may not want to draw cards because that might alter your playability of cards. So we got 3 cards in hand right now, so we can deploy this scout next turn if we want to. Or if you don't have a draw on every upkeep or something. But yeah, but clearly there's nothing with 4 cards in hand to deploy right now. Interesting. So interesting. Alright, the fresh recruit inflicts enough damage to kill the hunter, but thanks to heroism card, the fresh recruit doesn't suffer any damage to be killed in return. Because the hunter would do 3 back, but it's doing nothing since heroism. I don't know why it's doing nothing back, but yeah, I don't know why it's doing nothing back. The fresh recruit inflicts enough to kill the hunter, but thanks to heroism card, the fresh recruit doesn't suffer enough damage to be killed in return. Okay, yeah, so there's no damage counter, so it looks like this is one of those magic type of deals. You just heal up, I guess, at turn end or something. The hunter card is moved face up to the locust player's discard pile. The fresh recruit moves in the cover that was previously occupied by the hunter. The first recruit moves in the cover that was previously occupied by the hunter. Okay, so hunter, finito, will move the first recruit up there. This heroism is also discarded. Put that there. And yeah. Alright, directly attacking and blocking. A unit occupying cover may directly attack the enemy player. After the attack is declared, the enemy player may choose a unit in the reserve to block the attack. A unit occupying cover may directly attack the enemy player. Okay, so that'll be private, since you can only do one thing with the guy per turn. So we got two guys we can do that with. I'm just gonna tap this. This might be very wrong, but I'm just showing that I used it already. But a unit occupying cover may directly attack the enemy player. After the attack is declared, the enemy player may choose a unit in their reserve to block the attack. Nice. Enemy player, unit occupying cover, directly attack the enemy player. After the attack is declared, the enemy player, after attack is declared, enemy player may choose a unit in reserve to block the attack. If a unit is chosen to block the attack, resolve the attack as described on page 16 and 17 without moving either unit or deploying reaction cards. If a unit is chosen to block the attack, resolve the attack as described on page 16 and 17 without moving either unit or deploying reaction cards. Without moving either unit or deploying reaction cards. Okay, so that's important. So whenever you direct attack, you can't play reaction cards or move. Without. Okay, regardless of the outcome of the attack against the blocking unit, the enemy player will not suffer direct damage. After resolving the attack, any unit that is not killed will stay where it currently is. If the enemy player doesn't choose a unit to block with, they suffer 2 direct damage. 2 direct damage. Regardless of the attack value of the attacking unit. The attacking player may still play a reaction when there is no blocking units. The enemy player can't play a reaction card when there is no blocking units. Interesting. Enemy player can't play a reaction card, but attacking player may still play a reaction. Okay, direct damage. The way players take direct damage is through unblocked direct attacks, which deal 2 direct damage. Regardless of the attack of the unit dealing damage, direct damage is 2 unless otherwise stated. When you're dealt direct damage, take a number of cards from the top of your deck equal to the damage dealt. When you're dealt direct damage, take a number of cards from your deck equal to the damage dealt, and without looking at them, move any number from to your hand, then discard any that are left. When you're dealt direct damage, take a number of cards from the top of your deck equal to the damage dealt, and without looking at them, move any number to your hand, then discard any that are left. What does that mean? When you're dealt direct damage, take any number of cards from the top of your deck equal to the damage dealt. And so take 2 or maybe 3, 4, 2 mostly, normally 2. And without looking at them, move any number to your hand, then discard any that are left. Discard any that are left. What does that mean? I don't get it. Okay, so normally, see, they could just specify this stuff and make it clear. But normally, take 2 cards to hand. Without looking at them, move any number to your hand, then discard any that are left. I don't know. I don't know what that means. All right, keeping it moving though. And attacking the enemy player. Since the Sergeant card began the combat phase in cover and has not taken an action, the COG player may attack the Locust player directly with it. Instead of the Locust player suffering the damage, however, let's use the Drone card to block the attack. All right, Drone is out here in reserve. We got, what is that, Sergeant. So we'll make the Drone run up on the Sergeant. And some cover cards have rules that affect units occupying them. The Sergeant in the high wall cover, the Sergeant is in the high wall cover, and so gains the benefit detailed on the COG player side of the cover. Okay, I got them backwards. Sergeant is at high wall. I guess I got that messed up. All right, so right here, Sergeant is here. Sergeant has the high wall, blue side. Blue side. All right, so Sergeant on this side has friendly units gain +1/+1. And on this one, it's also friendly units gain +1/+1. All right, so friendly units gain +1/+1. So that's 3 + 1, that's 4. So Sergeant becomes a 4/4. Units are only affected by rules on that player's side of the cover. The effects of these rules only apply to the unit in that cover, and other units are unaffected unless stated. When a unit attacks into cover, it does not enter the cover unless it wins the combat. So none of the cover's benefits will apply to the attacking unit. Blocking units are never affected by the rules on that player's side of the cover. All right, blocking units never affected by rules on the side of cover. Never affected by rules on the player side of the cover. So when a unit attacks into cover, it does not enter the cover unless it wins the combat. So none of the cover's benefits will apply to the attacking unit unless it wins the combat. One more time. Units are only affected by the rules on that side of the thing. When a unit attacks into cover, it does not enter the cover unless it wins the combat. So none of the cover's benefits will apply to the attacking unit. I mean, it looks like it's going to win because it has 3/3, 4/4 on a 2/2. Yep, I don't get it, but keeping on reading. We're almost there because I think it said 25 pages is the tutorial or something. Before the attack is resolved, each player may deploy a reaction card as normal. The Locust player will go first since it's defending, and let's deploy Blood Rush card now, raising the drone's attack value. Wish they wouldn't have put that blurb before you get to this page. It's like, why confuse the person? All right, so Blood Rush, the friendly unit gains +3 attack. So making it a 5/2, 5 attack, 2 defense. The Blood Rush card increases the drone's attack to 5. Next, the cover card increases the Sergeant's attack and the defense values to 4. Yeah, so now Sergeant is, instead of it being a 3/3, Sergeant is now a 4/4. Finally, the attack is resolved. Though the cover card increased the Sergeant's attack and defense values to 4, it's not enough to avoid being killed, and the drone is also killed. So Sergeant does 4 damage and takes 5 damage back. Therefore, it's knocked out. The Sergeant is knocked out, goes to the discard pile. And also the drone, as well as the Blood Rush card, are also discarded. And the drone suffers 4 damage from the Sergeant. And it's only got 2 defense, so it's knocked out as well. And the defenders never get the benefit of the wall. Yeah, so murder-suicide right there. And now the final action, well, murder. The final action is to move each unit and the reaction card face up to the respective discard piles. Okay, suppressed. When a unit in the reserve is damaged but not killed, it becomes suppressed. Okay, so I guess I was in the wrong to tap this guy, but we just know we used that guy already. When a unit in reserve is damaged but not killed, it becomes suppressed. When a unit is suppressed, rotated 90 degrees clockwise, the suppressed unit can't perform an action or be used to block an attack. Units in cover can't be suppressed. Okay? Write that down. When a unit in reserve damage becomes suppressed. 90 degrees. All right. At the beginning of a player's turn, any of their units which are suppressed are rotated back into their original orientation and are no longer suppressed. Units that move into cover as a result of an attack do not become suppressed, even if they suffer damage during the attack. Okay, so, yeah. Move into cover at the beginning of turn, upkeep, original orientation. All right, almost there. I think this might be the last 2 pages of this. All right, second deployment phase. Once a player has resolved all of their actions in the combat phase, then that phase ends and the second deployment phase begins. The second deployment phase is the same as before, and the player must perform a draw, discard, or deploy action. Okay. Player must perform a draw, discard, or deploy action. Okay, so you're trying to smooth your hand out to be able to cast what you want to cast. After the active player has taken their action and resolved any effects, the turn ends and the enemy player begins their turn. So essentially you get 2 actions a turn. Well, two main phases a turn where you take 1 action. All right, so yeah, I'll just write that in my own words. Two main phases where you do 1 action, then well, no, it's like main combat and main combat main something like that. Okay, after the active player has taken their action and resolved any effects, the turn ends and the enemy player begins their turn, starting with the first deployment phase. Second deployment phase, the cog player should now have 3 cards in their hand, which allows them to meet the deployment value of the scout card. The scout has a deployment special rule, which allows the cog player to draw 2 cards. Okay, so we'll pick up that hand. Second deployment phase, we got 3 cards in hand. We can deploy the scout. Are they telling us that we want to draw some cards? Because we already have 1. Well, we have 2, so we can get airstrike out. Or we can draw 2, bringing us into 4. But giving us more options in hand, though. When the player deploys a unit with a deploy effect, they may immediately resolve the effect on the card. If a card with the deployment effect is moved onto the battlefield via any other method, the deployment is not resolved. Deployment effects only when hard casted. Only when hard casted. Alright, special effects. Like the scout's deployment effect, units have special effects that influence the game. Carefully read the blah blah blah. Always resolve the card's effects in the order they're rendered on the card. If a number of different effects would apply at the same time, the player whose turn it is chooses the order to apply them. Just go ahead and grab that. Player whose turn it is chooses the order to apply them. Alright, the Locust player's first turn. Alright, so did we draw the cards or not? I guess we'll draw the cards if you ask me. So 1, 2, we'll draw 2. What we get? We got another heroism, and we got hit the floor. Alright, the Locust player first turn. Deployment phase, respawn. At the start of the Locust player's turn, they'll have 4 cards in their hand, meaning they may use their first deployment phase to deploy the respawn tactic card in their hand. All right, respawn. Move a unit in your discard pile to your reserve. All right. And which one do they want us to do? To deploy the tactic card, the player needs to meet one of the deployment values, which is 3 or 4. We had 4 in hand. The tactic card moved into the reserve card. Once the card is resolved, it's moved to discard pile. So looks like they want us to get Hunter out. Okay, Hunter. Yeah, Hunter was stronger than Drone. All right, so we'll get Hunter out. And then its deploy doesn't count because it's not being hard casted. You don't have to pay for it. It was just soft casted from another card. All right, so then it just skips that. But we just cast it anywhere. Then that's the end of the tutorial. But winning the game, now that the players know the basics of Gears of War, the card game, they should be able to play the Locust player's combat phase and the second deployment phase. Once the Locust player's turn is over, the COG player takes their turn. Continue this way until one player wins the game by forcing their opponent's deck to run out of cards. All right, mill game. Okay, yep, and that's another reason why you may not want to draw cards. Alright, the campaign. Gears of War, the card game, is played over 15 sequential chapters. Oh man, that sounds fun. Like, you give me a co-op campaign, okay, yeah, whatever. But you give me a competitive campaign, I'm going to be eager to play that. Alright, each chapter is played in a best of 3 games format. Oh man, it sounds off the chain, Wax. Put the cat on the chain, Wax. After a player has won a game, reset the game and play it again, shuffling both players' discard piles back into their decks. The first player to win 2 games is victorious and claims the chapter. As the campaign progresses and fighting intensifies, new rules will be introduced into the game, and once a rule is introduced, it remains for the remainder of the campaign. To prepare for chapter 1, take the next 16 cards and separate out the COG and Locust cards, and each player shuffles the new cards into their existing deck from the tutorial to create their core deck. Players will use their core deck throughout the entire campaign. Oh man, it sounds so fun. So fun. Alright, chapter 1 prelude. Yeah, we'll get to this later. But yeah, that was cool as crap. I'm gonna try to get this played hopefully next 2-player Tuesday. Man, the thing about these campaign games, you gotta play with the same person. That's the downfall of this stuff. But man, look for this hopefully very soon. Folio Games, like, comment, subscribe. And what are we doing? We're doing a and we're gonna do a Michael Burnham.